And just ahead on First Look Asia, it isn't too difficult to volunteer. All you need is the right fit. We'll show you how to find the right cause to volunteer to in the new year that's coming up right after the break.
Welcome back to First Look Asia. Many people who volunteer will tell you that there's nothing like the feeling of being part of something bigger than yourself.
Absolutely. Volunteering benefits not just recipients, but the givers too. Studies have shown that those who volunteer are happier and healthier than those who do not.
But before you choose a cause to volunteer with, our Tay Tsen-Waye suggests some things that you should consider.
72 hours. That's how long it takes for this non-profit organization to provide emergency relief after disaster strikes, from flash floods to earthquakes, tsunamis and typhoons. And with a small team of staff, Mercy Relief relies heavily on volunteers to fulfill its missions. But as Melissa Ann Im points out, the role of the volunteer has evolved over the years. For instance, traveling overseas to disaster areas is less common, since Mercy Relief works with local groups to provide on-the-ground support.
In 2004, it was a lot of volunteers here in Singapore that could help us pack items that we would then send over on the ground. But as disaster management evolves and changes, we find that volunteering looks different. So for Mercy Relief specifically, what really helps us is when people come and use their skill sets here in the office to help us better communicate what we do on the ground.
You may have design or writing abilities, be adept at using social media, or are a whiz with IT. Mercy Relief also needs people to commit about 2 weeks in August for its largest annual event, the Ground Zero Run.
In terms of attributes, passion is always one to look for. Being able to commit, if you say you'll be here at a particular time, it's great for us if you're there to join us, or else we're maybe scrambling to make things happen, again, with a smaller team at Mercy Relief. We're finding that project-based volunteering has been really fruitful because you can see from start to finish how a project evolves.
Before volunteering, it's important to think about why and how you want to help. Are your motivations selfless or self-serving? What causes are you passionate about? The environment, kids, animal, or human rights? And based on your skill sets, how can you be most effective?
If you enjoy the great outdoors and communing with nature, environmental conservation may be more aligned with your interests. Waterways Watch Society Chairman Eugene Heng says the charity attracts two types of volunteers.
One that want to mentor and spread the word and teach and educate and show people why there's a need to care for the environment. And the other one is just to go out and help to make sure that we have a sustainable, safe environment.
Volunteers contribute in various ways, going on bicycle patrols to pick up litter, or heading out on the water by boat or kayak. They also engage the public to spread the clean is green message. Mr. Heng emphasizes that he's looking for quality help and not quantity.
We don't want them to come just to drive a boat. We don't want them to come just to cycle for exercise or for speed or kayak for that matter. Every action that we have relates to contributing back to society, engaging the public, helping others to promote sustainable environment. And if at the end of the day they don't feel like it or they feel the pressure and they resign, so be it. I can't fire a volunteer, but I can certainly try and convert that. When you're a volunteer, you really do volunteer work.
Awareness remains the main challenge in keeping the environment pristine. Many who attend the Society's educational classes reveal how little they know about the importance of protecting a country's waterways.
I mean, if you look behind me, this is a reservoir. It's the source of our drinking water. This is a park for us to enjoy. How we sustain it depends on our everyday action by everyone. Not by a small group, not by the government, not by the cleaners. It's everyone's responsibility.
In 2015, more than 790,000 tons of food were wasted in Singapore. That's equivalent to the weight of 108 full-load double-decker buses every day. But at least one charity, Food from the Heart, has found a way to redistribute unsold baked goods to those who would appreciate it. Food from the Heart engages some 8,000 volunteers across the island in a year. It may seem like plenty, but the charity's executive director says they can never have too many.
As you know, volunteers sometimes they have their own family commitment, work commitment. So we do need volunteers on standby as well. And some volunteers, after volunteering for us, they need to take a break. So we need a refresh, a renewal, new volunteers.
In order to make a real difference, Food from the Heart requests that volunteers commit 2 hours per week for a minimum of 6 months. Training's also provided. Mr. Quack says they try to simplify the work so as not to overwhelm their supporters.
We always welcome our volunteers to participate with us, do it on the ground, to even meet up with our beneficiaries, so they have first-hand knowledge of who are they helping. It's not just behind the scene where they don't know who are they helping.
So you've found your motivation and are raring to make the world a better place, but you want to expand your horizons as well. Then overseas volunteering may be right up your alley. Tay Tsen-Waye, Manager of Communications at the non-profit organisation Singapore International Foundation, or SIF, recalls her experience in 2012 as a staff volunteer. She travelled to Bandung, Indonesia, to SIF's Words on Wheels mobile library project.
The first day was pretty daunting because in the group I was probably the one with the least volunteering experience. By the second or the third day I found that it was easier to build up rapport once you land in a school. It was also easier to build up rapport with other like-minded volunteers.
SIF was founded in 1991, bringing together Singaporeans and communities in the region to effect positive change. It welcomes a diverse group of volunteers, from students, working professionals to retirees. Depending on the project, specialist skills in education and healthcare or the arts are useful.
It requires them to live and work in a particular overseas community and engage in capacity building projects. So for instance, an infield volunteer that we are actively looking out for the coming year is English language teachers in Laos. So they will be required or tasked to teach English language to government officials in Laos.
Ms. Tay says preparing for an overseas volunteering trip is essential. For example, something as simple as learning some phrases in the local language can help break the ice. Sharing one's time and knowledge with communities afar bring personal benefits too.
International volunteering allows you to step out of your comfort zone. It allows you to understand a lot more about cultural sensitivity. And that was the biggest takeaway for me, I think. How do you engage with local communities, cross that language barrier, cross that cultural barrier, and then to realize that actually, very often we are more similar than different.
The sky's the limit when it comes to how you can volunteer. You're certainly not confined by borders, only your imagination. And if your refrain's still, "I'm too busy," maybe it's time to get creative.
Understandably, finding the time to volunteer can be a real challenge. One way to tackle that is to commit a few hours or days when you're holidaying abroad. And it's a great way to see a different aspects of society beyond the lens of tourism.
And for those of you in Singapore, the National Volunteer and Philanthropy Centre is a great place to start to find out how to get involved in your community. Visit www.giving.sg to discover causes and opportunities to support.
If you are elsewhere in the region, approach local NGOs and charities to ask what they need the most. It can be donations or even skills-based volunteers. Most importantly, have fun and try and get your friends involved too.
Great idea. And on that note, we're done with our first show for 2017. And we've got you all set up for the day ahead too.
Yes. Join us again tomorrow when we get an expert on how to best plan your travel calendar for the year. We're already looking towards our next holiday, of course.
Plus, on Coffee with the Boss, I speak to Kenneth Aroldos, Managing Director of Harvey Norman Asia.
We'll see you tomorrow for all that, plus the latest news from around the world and the region. See you then, but in the meantime, have a great day ahead and stay tuned for Asia Business First. Adam Bakhtiar is standing by. Bye for now.
Bye.